Nerdly presents the feed where the reels unwind. Off the real podcast, digging deep in the grind. 80 flicks, low cash, big dreams in a frame. No blockbuster hype, just the realest in the game. Review so sharp, we cut through the noise.
I remember back in 1992 or 93 or 94 or whenever it was, either way, I was but a wee lad. I remember watching Jurassic Park and being blown away. Dinosaurs existed. We had dinosaurs in movies. They existed. They looked real. They looked scary as hell. Dinosaurs were a thing now, thanks to Steven Spielberg, Michael Crichton, and all those other wonderful, magical people behind the scenes that made that shit work. Here we are now in 2025. I'm about to turn 41, and all I seem to be thinking is, when did dinosaurs stop being enough? When did the big, scary dinosaurs that we got back in that movie decades ago, when did they stop being enough? And now they have to be genetically modified, they have to be mutated, they have to be just looking like aliens, I guess, is what I'm going to say. Yes, I am talking about Jurassic World Rebirth, the new movie in the Jurassic World franchise, the next chapter in what is probably going to be a long line of chapters in this franchise, because they just keep making money, because dinosaurs make money, so we'll continue to churn them out. One thing I will say going into this movie, while I wasn't overly expecting much, is that Gareth Edwards was directing. I like me some Gareth Edwards. That guy can direct big, bold, bombastic movies. Godzilla was one hell of a movie, like not the greatest of movies in terms of story-wise or even, I guess, movies-wise, but in terms of scale, in terms of Godzilla looking like Godzilla and feeling like a Godzilla epic movie, Gareth Edwards nailed that to the floor. My name is Kevin Halden. This is Nerdly Presents Off the Reel. This is an Off the Reel review. I will give you the plot of the movie with as few spoilers as humanly possible. I'll get into the cast and crew of this movie, and then I will take you into my final Nerdly Off the Reel review rating, and I'll give you my final kind of thoughts on the movie. And I do have some thoughts, but ultimately it's a Jurassic Park movie, so I was down, I was in. It had dinosaurs, so I was in. Let's talk about the plot. I am a big fan of Jurassic Park 3. You know, the original trilogy. I'm a big fan of Jurassic Park 3. That might stem back to my days in the video shop, of course, where we had like 200-300 VHS copies of that movie. Anytime a shop wanted to get rid of their VHS copies of Jurassic Park 3, they would send them to us. So we ended up with hundreds. And they would always go in like the 3 for 10 bin. We usually ended up getting rid of them, to be fair. So, you know, if you've got a VHS copy of Jurassic Park 3, chances are it came through my hands at some point. This movie's doing a little bit of Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World, and it's doing a little bit of Jurassic Park 3. Two movies that I feel like get a little bit slammed at times, especially the third one. They're kind of mishmashing what we're doing here, because the movie starts way back at the start. So it starts kind of, I believe, before or during the first movie. So we've always known about the two islands, the main island in the first film, and then we have the second island that we came across in the second film, and they've been touched on in subsequent movies. In this movie, we find out that at the whole time, mind you, there was a third island. And on that island, they were doing genetic experiments. They were using the dinosaur blood, and they were doing different sort of hybrids. They were making different sort of dinosaurs. Something that we've kind of touched on already. I don't know why we need to be doing this, but this is what we're doing, because apparently dinosaurs just aren't scary enough. So that island was always there. Now, a hapless scientist, by the way, ends up dropping a Snickers wrapper into the vent of one of the main doors that they need to close to keep these dinosaurs in. And then everything goes mental because of a Snickers wrapper. That's right, a Snickers wrapper causes the whole damn thing. It is the damn dirty ape that starts it all. And then this whole thing happens, and then we cut to like 30 years ahead. So we cut to 5 years after Jurassic World Dominion, which I believe was the last one. And dinosaurs are kind of now out there living in the public. They're living in the world, in New York, in all around the world. Dinosaurs are living amongst us. However, the environment is not conducive to dinosaurs, as we would always have known. they need to be near like the equator or some shit like that. They need to be in like these tropical climates to survive. So they're all just kind of dying out on the streets. And we actually see at the start of the movie, we see like a triceratops or whatever it is sort of like dying at the side of the road. It's quite a grim reality, but that is kind of where we are. And I'm not saying that they're trying to tell us a little bit about global warming within this movie, but I feel like that's what they were trying to tell us. Like, we keep messing with the environment, we're going to end up like the dinosaurs, I think is what Gareth Edwards and David Koepp are trying to tell us. Rupert Friend is kind of this guy who works for like a tech billionaire, a tech giant, works for big tech anyway. And he has realized that there is this other island that was always like super secretive, nobody ever knew about, well, people knew about, but the rule was you weren't allowed to go there. And he thinks to himself, and his team, his whole committee and his board and his company think to themselves, if we could go there, get some blood samples from the dinosaurs, we could probably cure all of the world's ills. Yes, we're dealing with that story again. We've dealt with it for the last 2 movies. We're doing it again. So he goes to Scarlett Johansson, or rather she comes to him because she finds out that he wants to meet her. And he's kind of like, look, I need you to lead a team. We're going to go in there like a 2, 3, 4-man team. We're going to go in there. We're going to get the blood. We're going to come out. We're going to save the world. And you can be one of the people who cure the world's ills. So she's like, yeah, you're going to pay me millions upon millions? I'll do it. She's all about the zeros, apparently, and that is actually a quote from the movie. Jonathan Bailey works for like a theme park / museum, but numbers are down, nothing's really selling anymore, dinosaurs aren't cool anymore, so he's kind of like jumps at the opportunity to go to this island and see these dinosaurs up close and get this blood for the people who need the blood. So he's like, let's do it. So he joins the team. They go and get Mahershala Ali, who's like a super army soldier. They need him to get out there. He is basically Scarlett Johansson's second in command. They need Ed Skrein because you need to have that British guy who's going to be possibly the villain, probably going to die quite early on in the movie, but we need him anyway. So they go get him as well. And then they are off to the island. And on the way there, they kind of bump into a family. I say they bump into a family. There's a family out in the ocean. They're not really supposed to be there. Their boat gets overturned. They become a part of the movie for some reason whatsoever. I think it's to add a little bit of jeopardy for some characters. They weren't really doing much of anything that I cared about, so we'll just call them the family, and they are very much there. They do have some of my favourite scenes, and we will talk about that, but they are just kind of there. That's the film. That's essentially the film. So you can see why I mean, like, it's a mixture of Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World, but it's also a mixture of Jurassic Park 3 when you throw the family in there. And it is a nice little mix. It's a decent little movie to be doing this with. Let's talk about the cast and the crew, because I don't really want to do any spoilers, although there's not really much spoilers that I can do for this movie. It is pretty much just a dinosaur movie. So yeah, cast and crew. Scarlett Johansson, first and foremost. I love the fact that Scarlett Johansson has always wanted to be in a Jurassic Park movie. I've seen interviews and I've seen quotes where she basically said that she just wanted to, even if she was one of the first people to die in a movie, or she had like 5 seconds of screen time and died by getting eaten by a dinosaur, she's always wanted to be in a Jurassic Park movie. I love that for her, and I love the fact that she's in this movie, and she's doing fine. I will say other actresses, I feel like maybe your Karen Gillans, could have played this role 10 times better, but what we got was Scarlett Johansson, and she's not phoning it in. She's actually enjoying herself. She's doing really good stuff in this film. She's doing the action when it's needed. She's doing the somber stuff when it's needed, but she's really quite enjoying it, and you can tell that through her character. She also has this really cool relationship with Mahershala Ali's character. The only problem is, as much chemistry as they have and as good as they are together, they keep telling us, or they keep dropping little tidbits about their character's past into the movie that we're supposed to care about. However, you can't really care too much about it because they don't really give you that world building satisfaction. It's just like, oh, this thing happened and that's why I am the way I am now. Oh, really, that happened to you? Well, this thing happened to me and that's why I'm the way I am now. Oh, well, we can relate to each other and we can get on and we can do this, but let's get on with the movie, because those kind of things will bog down the story. Mahershala Ali's in the movie as well, is what I was trying to get to there. Jonathan Bailey as the nerdy kind of science dinosaur tech guy, I genuinely thought the fish out of water character for this guy worked. I like Jonathan Bailey. I've seen him in a few things now. He's never really wowed me to any great extent. However, he's very good in this film. He's very good at making me believe that he could be like the new sort of Alan Grant type character. he just kind of sold that for me. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Rupert Friend, as always, is going to end up being the villain of the movie, of course. He's the big tech guy who wants the blood for nefarious reasons. They want all the blood so they can make all the money and be the heroes of the world, is basically why he's there. So when he does turn heel, and he does turn heel, it's fully expected, it's not a surprise, and it's pretty cool. It does what it's supposed to do. Ed Skrein is an actor that I absolutely adore. I love seeing Ed Skrein in movies. He is just one of those guys that I just love seeing him. He's a nice British. He's always going to end up being the bad guy. He kind of is a good guy in this movie. In fact, yeah, he is a good guy in this movie. All of his motives seem quite wholesome, other than the fact that he's doing things for money. That's totally fine. But yeah, he doesn't last long. And for the time that he does last on screen, he's doing a ridiculous London rude boy, bad boy, gangster accent, as if he's some sort of like UK battle rapper. I wasn't sure what the accent was doing. I wasn't sure what he was doing with it. I kind of liked it in a way, but in a way like it would have fit a Guy Ritchie movie, not necessarily a Jurassic World movie. So Guy Ritchie, if you need someone new for your movies, someone who can pull off those kind of accents, Ed Skrein your guy. We do have the Delgado family in this movie as well, who are just kind of there, with Manuel Garcia-Rulfo, Luna Blase, Audrina Miranda, and then there's like a boyfriend played by David Iacono. I didn't mind this family. They were just kind of there to give a little bit of difference to the plot, to the story, to everything that's going on. I'm going to get into what I did and didn't like about this movie, because there's a lot of things for me to talk about here. And what I didn't like is just the genetically modified aspect. The mutant aspect of these dinosaurs lets this film down for me in a lot of ways, because when did T-Rexes not be scary anymore? I mean, there is a T-Rex in this movie, and when we see him, case in point, he's lying on his back, having a snooze, and turns around like a little puppy dog, and it's just sort of like, he looks cute as shit. I don't know if that's what they were trying to do, so that all the other dinosaurs just look big and bad and evil, but oh my god, he looked like a little puppy dog. But yeah, the designs of these things are just incredibly terrible. So we get told right at the start, when they're showing us the experiments, that there's this thing called a D-Rex. Not a T-Rex, a D-Rex. You get to see it towards the end, and my god, it is awful. Think about Alien Resurrection. You know, when the human DNA gets spliced with the alien DNA, and then it gives you this like humalien. Well, that's what you have in this movie. You have like a T-Rex mixed with what I assume is an alien, but it looks awful. Like, production design wise, it looks incredibly bad. I think they're going for like maximum shock factor to make it look horrendous and scary, which at times this is something this movie does really well, is it is actually quite scary in moments. That's one of the things I did like. It does have a few moments that are genuinely quite scary, like the first movie back in the day. Like, it takes you by surprise and makes you jump out of your skin. But when you're making your dinosaurs particularly ugly and evil looking and just hideous, for that simple reason, it didn't work for me. The D-Rex looks ass. It really does look bad. I hated that dinosaur, and that's your big dinosaur of the movie. You're waiting most of the movie for this dinosaur, and it looks horrendous. What I will say, what I did like though, Gareth Edwards again does scale exceptionally well, and he does make this thing look huge. As bad as it looks massive, and that's a good thing for Gareth Edwards to be doing. He made Godzilla look massive, he makes these things look massive. There's like a Titanosaurus halfway through the movie. It looks huge, and I love those moments. But when you get to the really hideous kind of mutant dinosaurs, I'm not into it. I'm not into it at all. Something else that I wasn't massively keen on, I'm all for nostalgia. This movie plays on your nostalgia in a big, bad, horrendous way. So, like, remember when the trailer came out for the first Jurassic World movie, and they'd redone the da-da-da, da-da-da, and they'd redone it on, like, a piano, like, ding, 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 ding. And then when you actually get it in the movie, it is superbly done. They play that up hugely in this movie. Many different variations of that score, many different variations of that tune, but they play it up massively at every single chance they get. I'm all for nostalgia, but when you do it like this just to bait me in and try and make me feel something, in a scene that I'm not really feeling anything for, you don't really win me over. You just kind of annoy me a little bit, because then I know from the musical cue, this is how you want me to feel. I know how to feel. When Jonathan Bailey walks up to the Titanosaurus and starts feeling its leg and being all like in touch with the dinosaur, I get it. I know how to feel. I know how he feels. I know how to feel. I don't need the score to try and bait me in with the feelings. I didn't need it. So there is that. Yeah, my final rating, I might as well just get in my final rating. And honestly, I was tempted to give this a 2.5, but I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. I'm going to give it a little bit extra for the sake that it did give me a few jump scares. It did a little bit of that. It does essentially take the themes from Jurassic Park 2, Jurassic Park 3, hybrid them together and make a hybrid dinosaur movie. So I do understand that. And it wins a little bit on that for me because it plays on those aspects. But in other places, it just loses so much. And one of them is the design of these new dinosaurs. I'm glad we got some velociraptors. I'm glad we got some what I think were pterodactyls. I'm glad we got the T-Rex. Because honestly, without them popping up, this movie is just a really, really bad Dr. Zeus of dinosaurs movie. Just let's create some hideous looking awful dinosaurs / aliens and let's do this. And for that, it falls down flat in many places for me. So yeah, it's a 3 out of 5 for me. Absolutely check it out if you're a dinosaur fan. If you're a Jurassic Park fan, you may enjoy it. I just think for me, it's not what I was hoping for. It's not what I was looking for. And it's not really what I wanted, but then again, I didn't really think I wanted another Jurassic Park movie. So, but yeah, 3 out of 5 for me on Jurassic World Rebirth. My name has been Kevin Halden. This has been a Nerdly Presents Off the Reel review. I will be back very soon. Please do come back. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, ding that notification bell. If you think I've been too harsh on this movie, if you think my criticism is wrong, or if you think I've got some things right, please do hit me in the comments below. I'd love to chat about it down there too. But for now, I'll see you in the next review.